What is up, everyone? Today we're taking a bit of a trip down memory lane. We have a special guest who will join us shortly, so stay tuned for that. But essentially, just wanted to go through and some of the good stuff, the bad stuff over the last 12 months, and highlight those and look ahead to the new year. So hopefully you do enjoy the video. I'm not sure if you can already hear, but our special guest is on the way. Stay tuned and let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Ho ho ho, trading card nerds! It's Hobby Santa here to go through the naughty and nice list for 2022. Some of you might be a bit shocked. Bear with me, it's been a pretty stressful year up in the North Pole. All these scalpers basically taking all these cards I've been manufacturing for you all. But hopefully they're back in store now. You can get some for yourself. So let's go into the nice list to start. Now this one is actually, it's not as long as I'd like it to be. It's pretty disappointing, as most of you guys will know. So what I'm going to do, just pick a few. If I miss anyone, yell at Daniel, not me. He's the idiot that runs his channel. But just drop those thoughts down in the comments below, as he always says, and then we can go through anyone that's missed and we can shout them out there. Now, in terms of what's on this nice list, like you can see, it's not that long, but essentially, the Hobby Watchdogs, I think we need to give them a shout out for what they've done in 2022, and they can finish the year on the nice list because guys like AIH Sports, Sports Card Radio, Retro Hoops Collectibles, a few others that I can't think of right now, have done a fantastic job for the hobby, over the last 12 to 18 months. Now, essentially, some of that stuff does get classified as negativity sometimes, but as I always say, or as Daniel always says on the channel, I should say, because I'm not Daniel, I'm Santa Claus, this kind of stuff is really good because you need to call this stuff out to make change within the hobby. It's how you get these businesses to start providing us with better value as customers. Now, we've seen some really, really good improvement in this space, so much so that, people like AIH Sports, Dan the Cardman, Retro Hoops Collectibles, Sports Card Radio, have called out a few things and businesses have now responded, which has been fantastic to see, and it can't go unnoticed. And I really hope, we start seeing a lot more of it moving forward, because that kind of thing can change, the hobby for the better, in my opinion. Some people, yes, say it's negative, on face value, but the positive change you can get off the back of that is too good to ignore, in my opinion. Now, I know some of these manufacturers often cop a lot of heat, right? They often cop heat around, their poor QC, so on and so forth, mistakes like Topps have made with regards to, rookies missing from certain sets, so on and so forth. But, what Topps did recently, and this is why, in my opinion, they should be on the nice list for at least this small component, is their buyback program, right? This buyback program they've put in recently with Aaron Judge and Goldschmidt, where people can get these cards, sell them to the local card store and get some good credit for them, is a really, really cool thing and an innovative thing for the hobby. And I really hope, again, similar to the previous point, we start seeing a lot more of this moving forward, because this is a really cool way for manufacturers to create additional value for us as customers. Now, you can't see my mouth moving. I need a bit of shave, to be honest, so please forgive me. But it is what it is. I hope you all are enjoying your holiday period. I hope you're all on holiday breaks already. It's a very busy period for me, so just stay tuned. You might get some good gifts under the tree. Now, the next on the list of the nice, and as you saw here, it's not a very long list, but essentially next on the list is SGC. Now, some people might say, well, SGC have copped some heat for doing some bad things over the last year, and that's fair. Every grader has made mistakes, and one thing that needs to be kept front of mind, right, is these businesses within the hobby. Mistakes are going to happen. Mistakes are a part of life, right? You can't avoid them altogether. But what Pete, who's the CEO at SGC, has essentially done is that whenever they've made a mistake, he's been very proactive in willing to communicate with us as collectors, as users within the hobby, right, as stakeholders. And he's done a fantastic job with that. Now, he's doing a better job than I'm doing with this beard right now. I really should have shaved it. Again, I do apologize. But those kinds of things are really fantastic to see from SGC, and why they are on the nice list. Out of all the graders outside of maybe CSG, they've done the most positive work within the hobby, in my opinion. And I think most collectors share that opinion as well. Now, in general, I put card investors on this list as well. Some of you might say, well, card investors, they're the guys that got us into this bubble mess in the first place. Well, the counterpoint to that is, well, now they've learned their lessons with what cards are actually valuable, or some of them have gotten, paper hands and they've left the hobby entirely. That's meant what? Collectors like us could start buying cards again that we want for affordable prices. Things aren't, astronomically expensive for literally no reason. So that's why card investors are also on the nice list. Now, to round out the list, like I said a bit earlier, there's many, many other people that deserve a shout out, but people like Wax Museum Podcast and Breakout Cards also deserve a shout out and are on the nice list for the year, because the work both of those guys do is fantastic, right? Breakout Cards, obviously, well, they've both got YouTube channels, I should say, but Breakout Cards, does card show vlogs specifically tailored towards vintage cards, which is a really insight and unique perspective onto that side of thing, right? Because you don't see that happen too often when it comes to card show vlogs, everything's modern, essentially. So he does something a bit different there, but what he does that's even better, in my opinion, is that he often indicates to you how to spot fake cards, especially with high-end vintage cards, right? Or high-value vintage cards. So if you're not subscribed, check him out. That's why he's on the nice list. And the same goes for Kyle from Wax Museum Podcast as well. He does a lot of fantastic work around spotting, patch swap cards, fake rookie cards, so on and so forth. He's got a database that I always share on my channel. But again, he has, a pretty cool YouTube channel as well. He goes to vlogs, or card shows, I should say, and does vlogs, but they are a bit of a different format. But more importantly, he has some really, really cool mail days that he often gets because he's a bit of, he's a true collector. So he collects obscure things. So it's worth looking into and following him if you're not already. So that's sort of it, for the nice list. And again, I'm out of breath. You can see how fat I am. It's been a long year eating cookies all year, but cut me some slack. The naughty list is where things are going to get a bit interesting, to be honest, because as we know, the hobby's been a pretty dirty and dark place in its lifetime, but things have been exacerbated the last, 12 to 18 months, I want to say. It's been horrendous, the amount of things that have been called out and done, since then. And the list here is, it's pretty long. Like you can... It's a very, very long list, and apologies about the noise, but you can see it just keeps going. So let's ignore that. It's been a very stressful year, like I said. So let's crack open a beer. If you got one, have one. If you don't. Give me a sec, because this beard is a bit strange to drink through. Let's see if we can find my mouth. Let's go. Oh, cracker. So definitely need that beer. You saw how long that list was, and it's about 10 kilometers longer. So please forgive me. But essentially, the naughty list, let's start with backyard breaks. Now, again, some people might say, well, what have these guys done wrong? I think there's been plenty of videos out there put out by Dan, put out by AIH Sports, Sports Cut Radio, Retro Hoops Collectibles, and a multitude of other people that clearly indicate, some dodgy behavior that these people run with regards to that Kaboom card, to kick things off. Even Card Porn called them out. But then you've also got issues where these guys appear to be getting loaded boxes. Is that true? Is it not true? It just doesn't sit right with a lot of collectors, and I think that's why they're probably sitting on the naughty list, primarily because of the way they behave in general, right? That's not a good look for the hobby, in my opinion, but maybe that's the way things are heading. So I don't want to be a boomer or anything like that, but you guys sort of get the idea, and I think you can appreciate why they might be sitting on the naughty list. That Kaboom scandal in general, irrespective of how they responded to it, a bit later, their backlash they copped immediately was intense, and they didn't shift their stance until a bit later, right? So the fact they took that position means they're on the naughty list. Now, this list is quite long, but I think we should also include scalpers on here. Now, things have gotten better because the hobby is sort of positioned itself where people that were scalping in the past, because idiots were buying up worthless boxes of cards and paying a fortune for them, so they gave the scalpers the opportunity to do that. It's been good to see that scalpers have sort of dissipated and disappeared ever so slightly, but at the same time, they've done some very horrendous things over the last 12 months, as I want to say. I think my biggest video, I actually filmed it, or Daniel filmed it, I should say. I keep saying, oh, I'm not Daniel, I'm Santa Claus. Filmed it when he had COVID, and he got like 15,000 views, calling out scalpers at Walmart that were going there buying these boxes of cards and then primarily doing them to flip. And it's just a really unfortunate situation because it impacts kids getting the ability to go to a store and buy a box of cards. Now, yes, those boxes of cards aren't what they used to, i.e. you can't really get autos in retail product anymore or as frequently as you could in the past, but, taking that opportunity away from kids is not a good look, which is why scalpers, are on this naughty list. Now, we had a grader on the good list, right? We had a grader on the nice list, SGC. The counterpoint to that is we've also got PSA now on the naughty list. Now, there's many, many reasons why they should be on this naughty list, to be honest, because they've been utterly horrendous from the shenanigans they pulled, in my opinion, when it came to how they handled their backlog, how they started to charge customers, the mistakes they've made across their entire process, mislabeling cards, giving cards the wrong grade, grading fake cards, losing customers' cards, as we've seen in the last couple of weeks, in multiple occasions, actually, not just one or two, sending customers the wrong cards, like getting orders mixed up. It's just a joke, and they're meant to be the ultimate pillar of the hobby when it comes to grading, and they've continually let us down as collectors, as customers within this hobby. So for that reason, PSA are on the naughty list, and looks like they're probably going to stay there for quite some time. Now, following on from that point, Panini is probably also going to be on the list for the same reasons, right? Similar to Topps, what I touched on the nice list. Topps have made mistakes. forgot to include rookies in certain checklists, or not forgot, maybe misled about rookies being included. Panini have essentially made similar mistakes, but then doubled down, even further. They haven't really done a whole lot of positive for the hobby. When it comes to their QC issues, missing cards, hotbox conversations where people can spot kabooms in certain boxes of, Crown Royale, their new terrible redemption system. There's all these things that speak to why Panini, in my opinion, is a piece of shit, right? They're a terrible company. They need to make a lot of changes to improve, to make sure they're better, in the long run, because the way things are going, Fanatics doesn't have to do a whole lot to sort of make sure that Panini's not around long term. This conversation around Fanatics buying out Panini, whether that's still going ahead or not, is kind of irrelevant at this point for me. If Fanatics seriously want to make a positive impact on this hobby long term, they have the opportunity, because everybody that's been around, since they've taken over, even beforehand, has done a shit job these last 2 to 3 years. So Fanatics, can they come in and fix what Panini's doing? Who knows? Let's sort of see what happens next year. But that's basically why, Panini is on the shit list, or the naughty list, as I should say. Now, before we jump to the next one, let's have another beer, another sip of the beer, another drink of the beer, because it's been a bloody long year. That naughty list, like I said, is kilometers long. Can you imagine what I had to sit through, going through all these things with people, scamming within the hobby, taking advantage of all these people within the hobby, let alone what's happening in other hobbies, and then I've got to put coal in their stockings. It's just not good enough. Not good enough at all. Oh, how good's beer. The next on the list is going to be Shillers. Now, these guys have always been on my naughty list. They've been there forever. Now, essentially, it's nothing new within the hobby. It just seems to have exploded in the last few months, maybe the last 6 months, where people are starting to capitalize on the fact that they've overpaid on certain cards, on certain product during this boom, right? Where basically people were paying, a crap ton of money for cards that actually weren't worth anything. And I think that's part of the reason why we've seen shilling sort of explode a bit further than what we've normally seen or historically seen within the hobby. It's always been around, but just, going on Instagram, you're seeing almost every second post relates to, shillers or eBay platforms, or eBay items getting relisted because of shill bidding, and then they get bid cancellations or retractions. So it means you end up having to overpay for a card. It's just a bit of a shit show, and it just seems to be getting worse and worse and worse. It's good to see, in the last few days, it looks like eBay's trialing out a new method when it comes to sending offers. So if you want to send an offer now on eBay, it looks like you have to put your credit card information in, which means essentially that second the seller accepts the offer, you as the buyer automatically pay, which is a huge step in the right direction. That is not necessarily shill bidding to an extent, but that just shows that eBay might be able to do something similar when it comes to bidding, right? Because what often happens with shill bidding when you're bidding, right? Person's got a friend or them themselves on a burner account are bidding up on their own item. They'll win. They'll either retract that offer at the last second, or, if they do win, they'll cancel it and relist, right? Where if they set up this automatic payment method, you as the shill bidder then have to pay yourself, right? And the eBay transaction already gets processed. Yes, you'd still have to cancel it and refund it, but it's just one added layer of, annoyance that might stop some of these shill bidders from participating in this, really shitty practice. So I hope you can appreciate that. And again, let me know your thoughts on that one down in the comments below. I've also got Eric Whiteback on the naughty list just because of his comments that he made a couple of weeks ago with regards to card stores. I don't know if he meant them the way he meant them, but right now he's going to stay on the naughty list until he comes up with a viewpoint that drags him back to the nice list, right? Because that was an utterly ridiculous take, and it just highlights it once again, people within the hobby that don't have, the best intentions for the hobby long term, in my opinion. That's the vibe I got from the guy in that specific instance. Now, speaking of people that don't always have the right things in mind or don't appear to have the right intentions at heart, is Dan, the fake curator. Now, this guy is a bit of a clown. I've highlighted it many times on my channel. The guy's just an idiot, in my opinion. I don't like calling people an idiot, but this guy is just an out-and-out bad dude based on the vibes I get from him through watching a video. Maybe I'll meet the guy and get a different vibe, but talking to people that have met him in person, they say very similar things. I just think he plays a fake character in his videos, and I would really appreciate, as I always say, for him to revert back to what he was doing in his OG videos, where he appeared to be, quite a nice dude trying to make the hobby a better place. Just some of his commentary lately is just, and when I say lately, I mean the last 12 to 18 months, just appears to be somebody that's trying to get famous as opposed to somebody that's, presenting them true selves on video. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the guy is just a jackass in person as well. Who knows? But it is what it is. I know I got sent a video earlier today. I won't name the name of who sent it, but some of the comments he made with players in the World Cup squads appeared to be slightly racist. Now, I won't play the clip, but go check out his latest live stream and you'll see for yourself just some of the commentary from the guy in there just seemed ignorance, screamed ignorance, I should say, and was borderline racism. So, check it out. Again, I don't like the guy. He's going to stay on the naughty list for a very long time, in my opinion. And when I say I don't like the guy, I mean I don't like how he portrays himself on camera. I don't know if that's how he actually is, like I said a bit earlier, but I think you get what I'm trying to say. And in terms of, the remainder of the naughty list that I'm going to talk through today, we've also got card cleaners on there. Now, there's been a lot of debate on whether card cleaning is good, bad, the ugly, so on and so forth. As, I've always said, do whatever you want. Just make sure you disclose it. And I think that's a really, really good thing that you should be doing if you do want to use it. If you're not disclosing it, there's a reason, and it means you're a scumbag. And the card cleaners are out there not disclosing this sort of stuff either are also scumbags. So, you can argue with me all you want down in the comments below, but there's a reason why you're not disclosing it, right? So it is what it is. Now, last on the list of naughty is baseball card exchange. Now, the year started off pretty poorly for them with regard to this Logan Paul fake Pokemon case situation. And, there's not much more to say to that other than what's already been said in various other videos. These guys, they don't offer a guarantee with their service. That's all that needs to be said about them. The fact that they're paying or having customers pay these large amounts of money to get these boxes wrapped and authenticated, and then you don't provide a guarantee off the back of that, is a joke, in my opinion. I'm shocked that people still value them as a business. Like, maybe they're doing more around the back end, that they're not actually communicating to you as a customer, but on face value with these mistakes we've seen, not just with, the 86 Fleece stuff we've seen at the National, not just with this Pokemon stuff we've seen with Logan Paul, but some of these other things. It's just a joke. What value are they adding as a business? And from my perspective, they don't appear to be providing a whole lot. You're a customer, you can make up your own mind if you are. So go do whatever the heck you want, but that's just my opinion, right? They're on the naughty list for that reason. Now, that was, a very long video. It's been a very long year, like I said, being out in the North Pole. It is what it is. I hope you and your family have, a good Christmas. I'll be working, obviously, taking presents everywhere. So either beers helping, to be honest. It is what it is. Let's just get through this holiday period. I'll finish off the year, and then I'll see you in January. Put our feet up, make some more videos, and have some fun. So cheers, and I'll see you in the new year. Happy holidays.